Hey, what's up you guys? It's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, comment down below what you want to see in the future, and turn on my post notifications. That way you get notified every single time we post about whatever book we are on. I know in the last video I had this on the book. This is the cover for the book to keep this protected. It is extremely hard for me to read this book, hold this book while that is on there, so I took it off. This is A Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, which is the second book to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and we are officially in chapter 1, so let's get started. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off the video now. You have been warned. Alrighty. 1 month later, Thursday, chapter 1. It was still there. Every time she opened the front door, it wasn't real. She knew that, just her mind filling in the absence, bridging the gap. She heard it, dog claws skittering, rushing to welcome her home, but it wasn't, it couldn't be. It was just a memory, the ghost of a sound that had always been there. "Pip, is that you?" her mom called from the kitchen. "Hey," Pip replied, dropping her bronze-colored backpack in the hall, textbooks thumping together inside. Josh was in the living room, sitting on the floor, 2 feet from the TV, fast-forwarding through the ads on the Disney Channel. "You'll get square eyes," Pip remarked as she walked by. "You'll get a square butt," Josh snapped back with a snort, a terrible retort, objectively speaking, but he was quick for a 10-year-old. "Hi, darling, how was school?" her mom asked, sipping from a flowery mug as Pip walked into the kitchen and settled on the stools at the counter. "Fine. It was fine. School was always fine now. Not good, not bad, just fine." She pulled off her shoes, the leather unsticking from her feet and smacking against the tiles. Her mom said, "Do you always have to leave your shoes in the kitchen? Do you always have to catch me doing it?" "Yes, I'm your mother," she said, whacking Pip's arm lightly with her new cookbook. "Oh, and Pippa, I need to talk to you about something." The full name. So much meaning in the extra syllable. "Am I in trouble?" Her mom didn't answer the question. "Flora Green called me today. You know, she's the new teaching assistant at Josh's school." "Yes," Pip nodded, for her mother to continue. "Joshua got in trouble today. Sent to the principal." Her mom's brow knitted. Apparently, Camilla Brown's pencil sharpener went missing, and Josh decided to interrogate his classmates about it, finding evidence and drawing up a persons of interest list. He made 4 kids cry. "Oh," Pip said, Pit opening up in her stomach again. "Yes, she was in trouble." Okay. Should I talk to him?" "Yes, I think you should, now," her mom said, raising her mug and taking a noisy sip. Pip slid off the stool with a gritted smile and padded back toward the living room. "Josh," she said lightly, sitting on the floor beside him. She muted the television. "Hey!" Pip ignored him. "So, I heard what happened at school today." "Oh yeah, there's 2 main suspects." He turned to her, his brown eyes lighting up. "Maybe you can help?" "Josh, listen to me," Pip said, tugging her dark hair behind her ears. "Being a detective is not all it's cracked up to be. In fact, it's a pretty bad thing to be. But just listen, okay? Being a detective makes the people around you unhappy, makes you unhappy," she said, her voice withering away until she cleared her throat and pulled it back. "Remember Dad told you what happened to Barney, why he got hurt?" Josh nodded, his eyes growing wide and sad. "That's what happens when you're a detective. The people around you get hurt, and you hurt people without meaning to. You have to keep secrets you're not sure you should. That's why I don't do it anymore, and you shouldn't either." The words dropped right into the waiting pit in her gut where they belonged. "Do you understand?" "Yes." He nodded on to the S as it grew into the next word. "Sorry." "Don't be silly," she smiled, folding him into a quick hug. "You have nothing to be sorry for, so no more playing detective?" "Nope, promise." Well, that had been easy. "Done," Pip said, back in the kitchen. "I guess the missing pencil sharpener will forever remain a mystery." "Ah, maybe not," her mom said with a barely concealed smile. "I bet it was that Alex Davis. The little shit." Pip snorted. Her mom kicked Pip's shoes out of her way. "So have you heard from Robbie yet?" "Yeah," Pip pulled out her phone. "He said they finished about 15 minutes ago. He'll be over to record soon." "Okay, how was today?" "He said it was rough. I wish I could be there." Pip leaned against the counter, dropping her chin onto her knuckles. "You know you can't. You have school," her mom said. It wasn't a decision she was prepared to have again. Pip knew that. And didn't you have enough after Tuesday?" "I know I did." Tuesday, the first day of trial at New Haven Superior Court, Pip had been called as a witness for the prosecution, dressed in a new suit and a white shirt, trying to keep her hands from fidgeting so the jury wouldn't see, sweat prickling down her back, and every second she'd felt his eyes on her from the defendant's table, his gaze, a physical thing crawling over her exposed skin. Max Hastings. The one time she'd glanced at him, she'd seen the smirk behind his eyes, the one no one else would see. Not behind those fake clear lens glasses anyway. How dare he? How dare he stand up and plead not guilty when they both knew the truth? She had a recording, a phone conversation with Max admitting to drugging and raping Becca Bell. It was all right there. Max had confessed when Pip threatened to tell everyone his secrets. The hit and run and Sal's alibi, but it hadn't mattered anyway. The private recording was admissible in court. The prosecution had to settle for Pip's reaccounting of the conversation instead, which she'd done for word, well, apart from the beginning, of course, and those same secrets she had to keep to protect Naomi Ward. Yeah, it was horrible, Pip said, but I should still be there, she said. She promised to follow this story to all of its ends, but instead Ravi would be there every day in the public gallery taking notes for her because school wasn't optional. So said her mom and the new principal. Pip, please, her mom said in that warning voice. This week is difficult enough as it is, and with the memorial tomorrow too, what a week. Yep, Pip agreed with a sigh. You okay? Her mom paused, resting a hand on Pip's shoulder. Yeah, I'm always okay. Her mom didn't quite believe her, and she couldn't tell. But it didn't matter because a moment later there was a knock on the front door, Ravi's distinctive pattern, long, short, and long, and Pip's heart picked up to match it, as it always did. File name, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, The Trial of Max Hastings, Update 3.wav. Jingle plays. Hello, Pippa Fitz and Bowie here, and welcome back to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, The Trial of Max Hastings. This is the third update, so if you haven't heard the first two mini episodes, please go back and listen to those first. We are going to cover what happened today, the third day of Max Hastings' trial, and joining me is Ravi Singh. Hello. Who has been watching the full trial unfold from the public gallery. Today started with the testimony from another of the victims, Natalie De Silva. You may well recognize her name. Nat was involved in my investigation into the Andy Bell case. I learned that Andy had bullied Nat at school and had even sought and distributed indecent images of her on social media. I believed it could be a possible motive, and for a while I considered Nat a person of interest. I was entirely wrong, of course. Today, Nat appeared in New Haven Superior Court to give evidence about how on February 21st, 2014, she was allegedly drugged and sexually assaulted by Max Hastings at a calamity party. But as I've explained before, due to Connecticut's ridiculous statute of limitations, Max cannot be charged for either rape or sexual assault because the alleged offenses happened more than 5 years ago in the cases of both Nat De Silva and Becca Bell. For these two victims, Max is instead being charged with kidnapping in the first degree, as the state has no statute of limitations for that crime. In Connecticut, the definition of kidnapping includes restraining someone with an intent to inflict physical injury or sexual abuse, and therefore the state attorney general recommended these charges instead. Of course, the whole thing is disgraceful, but I won't start on my feelings about the statute of limitations again. I think I've previously made those very clear. So Ravi, can you take us through how Nat's testimony went? Yeah, so the prosecutor asked Nat to establish a timeline of the evening. When she arrived at the party, the last instant she looked at the time before she began to feel incapacitated, what time she woke up in the morning and left the house. Nat said she has only a few hazy snatches of memory, someone leading her into a back room away from the party and laying her down on the sofa, her feeling paralyzed, unable to move, and then someone lying down beside her. Other than that, she described herself as being blacked out, and then when she woke up the next morning, she felt awful and dizzy, like it was the worst hangover she'd ever had. Her clothes were in disarray and her underwear had been removed. And to revisit, the prosecution's expert witness said on Tuesday about the effects of benzodiazepines like rohypnol, Nat's testimony is very much in line with what you'd expect. The drug acts like a sedative and can have a depressant effect on the body's central nervous system, which explains Nat's feelings of being paralyzed. It feels almost like you're separated from your own body, like it won't listen to you. Your limbs aren't connected anymore. Right. And the prosecutor also made sure the expert witness repeated several times that a side effect of rehypnol was blacking out. As Nat said, we're having anterograde amnesia, which means an inability to create new memories. I think the prosecutor wants to keep reminding the jury of this point because it will play a significant part in the testimonies of all the victims, the fact that they don't remember exactly what happened because the drug affected their ability to make memories. The prosecutor also repeated the fact regarding Becca Bell. As a reminder, Becca recently changed her plea to guilty despite a defense team who were confident they could get her no jail time due to her being a minor at the time of Andy's death and the circumstances surrounding it. She accepted a 4-year sentence suspended after 18 months, followed by 2 years probation. Yesterday, Becca testified by video link from prison, where she will be for the next year and a half. Exactly, and like with Becca, today the prosecution was eager to establish that Nat had only 1 or 2 alcoholic drinks the night of the alleged attack, which couldn't possibly account for her level of intoxication. Specifically, Nat said she only drank 1 bottle of beer that night. She stated who allegedly gave her the drink on her arrival, Max. And how did Max react while Nat was testifying? From the galley, I can see only his profile on the back of his head, but he appears to be acting the same way he has since Tuesday. This kind of calm, very still demeanor, eyes tuned to whoever's on the witness stand, as though he's really interested in what they're having to say. He's still wearing those thick-rimmed glasses, and I'm 100% certain they aren't prescription lenses. I mean, my mom's an optometrist. And is his hair still long and a little unkempt like it was on Tuesday? Yeah, it seems to be the image he and his defense attorney have settled on. Expensive suit, fake glasses, maybe they think his messy blonde hair will be disarming to the jury or something. Well, it's worked for certain recent world leaders, and the courtroom sketch artist let me take a photo of her sketch today, and said we could post it after the press has published it. You can see her impression of Max sitting there while his attorney, Christopher Epps, cross-examines Nat on the stand. Yes, and if you'd like to look at the sketch, you can find it in the appendix materials on the website, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder /podcast.com. So let's talk about the cross-examination. Yes, it was pretty rough. Max's lawyer, Epps, asked a lot of invasive questions. What were you wearing that night? Did you dress promiscuously on purpose? Showing photos of Nat the night from social media. Did you have a crush on Max Hastings? How much alcohol would you drink on an average night? He also brought up her past criminal conviction for aggravated assault, implying that it made her untrustworthy. It was essentially a character assassination. You could see Nat getting upset, but she stayed calm, took a few seconds to breathe and have a sip of water before answering each question. Her voice was shaking, though. It was really hard to watch. It makes me so angry that this kind of cross-examination of victims isn't allowed. It almost shifts the burden of proof onto them, and it's unfair. Not fair at all. Epps then grilled Nat about not going to the police the next day, if she was sure she was assaulted, and who the perpetrator was, that if she'd gone to the police within 72 hours, a urinalysis could have confirmed whether she had rehypnol in her system, which Epps claimed was up for debate. Nat could only replied that she hadn't been sure afterward because she had no memory. And then Epps said, if you have no memory, how do you know you didn't consent to any sexual activity or that you have interacted with the defendant that night? Nat replied that Max had made a loaded comment at her the following Monday asking if she had a good time at the party because he had. Epps never let up. It must have been exhausting for Nat. It seems this is Epps' tactic for Max's defense, to undermine and discredit each of the witnesses. With me, it was his claim about how convenient it was that I had Max to use as a male pasty to try to make Becca Bell and her alleged manslaughter sympathetic, that it was all part of the aggressive feminist narrative I've been pushing with my podcast. Yeah, that does seem to be the approach Epps is taking. I guess that's kind of aggressive. That's the kind of aggressive strategy you get when your lawyer costs $400 an hour, but money is no issue for the Hastings family, of course. It doesn't matter what strategy Epps uses, the jury will see the truth. File name, The Trial of Max Hastings Appendix, Courtroom Sketch.jpg. That's the picture. Oh, and that is the end of chapter 1. I will see you guys in the next chapter. Bye.